To the music.
Makue kote kohi Welcome to our Pacific Islands broadcast. Welcome everybody and thank you so much, for taking the time to join our Pacific Islanders community broadcast. And I'm so thankful, to have Christina Bradrick. She's a communication specialist, from the King County for arranging this program and bring all the staff to share the great information with our Tonga, Samoa, Fijian Islands. Tonga, you say malo lele. Malo opito mo kau mai katau kau fataha e akoni. Pula vinaka to Waisali Serevi from Fiji Islands. Malie Tahine from the Pikawa, but she also speaks Samoan. And also we have Brendan from the Tokelau. We'd like to welcome everybody to our program here. Today we have Michaela Hope. Michaela is a program manager and she's also a nurse for the Communities of Concern team at Public Health, where she works on outbreaks in a lot of correctional facilities. And she was raised in Kent and now live with her husband and dog and still with the King County. And also we have another special guest is Sili Kalepo. She's a project monitor with the Public Health. And so we're so fortunate, to have you take the time to participate on our Pacific Islands broadcast. Even if we have one person join us today, we are going stream live on Facebook and also the YouTube at the same time. However, when we finish, we always try to collect the information that we discuss and we have the dialogue with and talk about it and share it with our Pacific Islanders community leaders. Again, thank you everyone. And I'd like to take this opportunity for each one to, please introduce yourself. We'll start from the Christina, if you can introduce yourself, and then we go to Sili, and then Michaela, and then each person, before you talk, I would like to ask you to please introduce yourself when you come on. Christina?
Hi, this is Christina, and I'm a public health information officer for King County, and I am excited to listen in tonight. But I think Michaela and Sili are going to, they'll be able to answer questions much better than I can, so they will take it over from here.
Okay, thank you. And Sili Kalepo, I had a program before with Sili, and I'm so glad you're coming back. And Michaela, thank you so much. And I'm going to start with you, Malie. Malie, she's Samoan, but she's also worked with our Pacific Islanders Community Association community. Malie, I'm going to let you start asking the question, and then we're going to go from there to Waisale and then to Brendan. Malie? And also, please share that with the community. Malia, can you unmute your phone and please join us? Okay, Waisale? Waisale and also Brendan.
Bulavinaka, thank you, Linda, for the opportunity to come and join the Zoom meeting today.
Where are you from, Waisale? Can you introduce which islands you're from in the Pacific?
Yes, I'm from the Fiji Islands, based in Suva, and I've been in the US for the last 11 years. And I play rugby, and I've been here growing the sport rugby for the last 10 years.
Thank you, Waisale. I'll let you take the chance, to drive our vehicle here of tons of questions. What is the first question that you wanted to ask?
There's a lot of things being said through social media and through Facebook not working, and regarding the wearing of the mask, whether you've after you've got your 2 injection, what is the call at the moment? Are we are not supposed to wear the mask, or people wearing mask? We still need to wear the mask.
Thank you. Sili, Michaela, did you get that question? I think I just want to clarify. He's asking if you get the vaccination twice, are you still supposed to wear the mask or not?
No.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll let Michaela from the CDEPI team respond to that. But before I do that, Coach Sarevi, what's going on, man? You coached a bunch of my nephews, Jeremiah, Puka, and all them. So it's good to see you on here.
Good to see you too, my brother.
Hi, my name is Michaela. Thanks so much for having me here. That's a super good question. It's been really a bit of back and forth the last couple weeks. So the CDC came out and said that if you are fully vaccinated, if you are 2 weeks out from the second shot, then you didn't need to wear a mask in public settings. But here in King County, there's a directive, which is like a very, very strong recommendation that says that we should all still keep wearing masks in indoor public settings, even if we're fully vaccinated. And that's because we have a lot of parts of the county, like South and Southeast King County, and some smaller communities within the county that still have very low vaccination rates. And so we as a county are being encouraged to keep wearing masks anywhere we go inside until our entire county reaches those higher vaccination rates.
Thank you. Do we have Brendan? Brendan, are you on? Can you unmute your phone? Are you listening? Brendan is from the Tokelau Islands. It's a little bit north of Samoa, and Tonga is on the south of Samoa. Brendan, we'd like to have you come on, and also Malie.
Maloni, Whakawhetailahi for this space. Thank you folks for joining in, having us. My name is Brandon Takadena. Was born and raised in Hawaii, but have lineal ties to Tokelau and Samoa and Philippines. Grateful to be here. The question that I would like to ask, so I've been seeing that other places in the country, they're incentivizing vaccinations, and just in a little time that I've been working with Pika and kind of listening to conversations, I noticed that there's not a decline, but there's a slowing down of vaccination rates. And so I'm curious if like Washington, I'm new here, by the way, I just moved here like literally a week ago, but if Washington intends to like roll out any type of incentive programs for folks to get vaccinated. Thank you.
Sili, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can. I think from the Community Mitigation Response Team, which is the COVID-19 task force, really trying to adjust needs from the BIPOC community. There has been talks, but I don't really know if there's actually tractions relative to like incentivizing it. But you may know more about that, Michaela.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any large-scale incentive programs either, which I could be wrong. I might just not be aware of something. Everything that I'm aware of is on a smaller, like more privatized scale. So specific employers or smaller settings incentivizing their populations. Primarily what I'm seeing right now at the county and the state level has to do with addressing barriers to vaccine. And so focusing first on folks who are not vaccinated because of lack of transportation or a disability or lack of access, and focusing on removing barriers first. But it's a really good question.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is I was in a meeting with Dr. Jeff Duchin a couple of weeks ago, and the incentive that he had like proclaimed to the team was that you get to be vaccinated and won't transmit the disease to your family, your friends, your neighbors. But yeah, it's more just the personal incentive. But that's a great question. We can reach back to some of our leadership within our COVID response team and then provide some responses.
So the next question goes to Malia. Malia, please, unmute your phone, and you can go ahead and ask the next question. In the meantime, while we're still waiting,
So hello for everyone. We're having some kind of bad connections, I guess, being here in Tacoma. But my name is Malie Chanel. I'm Samoan. I'm a wellness navigator, as well as also affiliated with Weaving with Elders program at our Pacific Island Community Association, PICAWA. Um, all pronouns. Pleasure to be on here. Um, I actually don't have a question at this moment. I just want to listen in, and I think one thing that really comes to mind. I guess the last time we talked about these issues as well as that continuously a lot of the people that I'm affiliated with, as well as our some of our community within our faith-based community, that they're still very doubtful in regards to about taking the vaccine. Mostly all of these people I'm affiliated with, as well as family members, are mostly all evangelical Christians, and they continue to question uh, uh, the vaccine. The what is it made of? So how do I how do I address that? How do I respond? How do I get myself prepared to respond in terms of, because right now a lot of them are becoming scientists and doctors, you know, and I didn't know they all had degrees in that, but they still take they are all they all been taking metformin and everything like that, and do not question what metformin is made out of, you know. So how do I uh, get a much more understanding response into those kind of questions? And I continue to hear when we try to encourage vaccination within our radical Samoan evangelical Christians.
That's a good question, Malia Talofa, by the way.
Aloha, Sili.
I have the same problem because I got those experts in my family too. But I think the best thing we can really do is just to educate, equip them, give them the most recent data that we have, and then just hope they make an informed decision. I think Michaela and I think a month ago, actually spoke with a lot of the Samoan leaders where the cases were high here in King County. The funny thing is, the elder who represented was my actual auntie. So, and she came out and said that, and this too, Malia, that, and some of the other island communities can relate to this, is Samoans will celebrate their weddings, their funerals, and their churches because they just love gathering, which is, I mean, a difficult thing to do. I mean, I have dodged some of like our, funerals, celebration, anniversary things, but what we did do is we provided PPEs for those events. So we do have access to that. So we provided masks, we provided hand sanitizers, and we just provided information. I mean, at the end of the day, all we can really do is educate and equip, and then hopefully folks can just like make an informed decision for themselves. And then I don't know if you wanted to add to any of that, Michaela.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly what you said. Just wanting folks to be able to make an informed decision, whatever is best for them. But it's important that people can make an informed decision with good information. The public health website has a really great page for vaccine FAQs with frequently asked questions. And it has questions such as what is in the vaccine? Why should I take it? What are the benefits? Things like that. So I can put that in the chat box, and that might be a helpful resource. And then additionally, if it's helpful to reach out, I know the community navigators and Sili and his team, there are a lot of folks who are also happy to provide like more specialized resources or connect with groups if that's helpful. But for now, I'll put the link in the chat over here.
And it actually might be interesting, Michaela, when you and Lawrence were talking to us about like the COVID cases relative to the percentages of people and how the Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities were high in that. I don't remember the data off the top of my head, but I know you do.
Yeah, I can share. Currently, well, just for the past few months, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders specifically have just had higher rates of COVID-19 than other communities in King County. So the total number of people who are Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander is less than 1% of the county. So the numbers altogether are not very large, but within the community, the chance of having COVID-19 or the rate of people testing positive is much, much higher. And so we're seeing that even the rates of hospitalization, people who are Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander are 13 times more likely to be hospitalized with COVID-19 than white residents, and 6 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than white residents. And even though the NHPI community is only about 0.9% of the total population, this population makes up about 2.5% of total cases and 4.5% of hospitalizations. And we're seeing that the vaccines are very, very effective. Let's see, in Washington, there have been over 3.1 million people fully vaccinated, both shots. And out of those 3.1 million people, less than 1,500 people got sick again, which is 0.05%. And so that's only 0.05% of people fully vaccinated got sick is really, really wonderful. So there are protections from hospitalization and illness, of course, but it also just makes it so much safer to gather with your family and make sure that, as we're moving forward, our numbers are going down, but the folks that are still testing positive or being hospitalized are not you and are not your family or your loved ones.
Thank you so much. I'm going to jump in. I heard that a lot of the information you talk about, Michaela Hope. Today, I even walk into, like to some of the grocery store, like Safeway, and yesterday that was just the QFC in Fred Meyer. And I noticed there's like about 10% of the people that are not wearing masks. Majority of the people are wearing masks. And then I saw something that posting on the door, wearing your mask, but since May, that's allowed, if you have the vaccine completed, you don't have to wear a mask on your choice. But how can the store know if that person has been vaccinated? So I'm just asking for safety measure. I'm not trying to, that's just my question.
It's a really good question because we can't know for sure. We just have to trust one another. So whenever we say fully vaccinated people can stop wearing their masks, then we just trust everyone to be honest.
I'm going to go back to Waisale. Are you still on? Can you hop in? I know you maybe have something that may appeal to the Fijian community. Waisale, Brendan, and Malie. Waisale? Please unmute your phone.
Thank you, Linda. And I believe I just started with the PICA Pacific Island Community Association, and I'm so supportive of what they're doing. Not only providing food, but they're providing vaccine for our community. And for me, I had my first shot yesterday, and it was okay. And I believe that a lot of people out there are still asking the question, but I'm happy that I want to thank Michael for the website that she just sent. in order to support people getting vaccinated. And for me, I want people to live happy and enjoy their life. And I can see that COVID-19 is going down. It's going down. And I have a question for everyone out here. For people who think this is over, what message do we have for them?
I can take that one. Well, we are seeing really good things, as you've mentioned, with the cases going down and hospitalizations going down and deaths going down. It's all very, very encouraging. And as you've mentioned, also, it's not over. We are still seeing not only cases still happening, but a lot of inequality in different parts of the county and in different communities. And so currently the cases are going down at slower rates in South King County and in Southeast King County. And we still see variations in different racial and ethnic groups. We're also still seeing variants of concern spreading in the county. And so if we don't bring cases down to a certain level, then it provides kind of a foothold for more concerning variants that are potentially more infectious or can cause more harm and illness. If there is enough transmission, then those variants can get a foothold in our communities and increase transmission again. But if we can keep bringing cases down and down and down, then there's less opportunities for those variants to spread and potentially not end up with another big wave or another big worse season in the fall. Sili, do you have anything to add?
Thank you.
No, yeah, I think you said it well. We just have to stay vigilant and continue to wear the mask, continue to encourage our community members to get vaccinated. And yeah, I think we'll get through this.
Yeah, I would also add, our cases are down. We're still seeing over 100 cases every day. New people test positive every day, and 1 to 2 people dying of COVID-19 every day. And this is so much better than how it used to be. But those deaths are still really sad. And those are still people that are very valuable and very loved. And so in the same way, I love that you said that you want people to live happy and healthy, and I agree with you. And I don't want people to lose their family members and loved ones. And so even as these numbers are low, I still don't want that 1 or 2 people every day to be anyone in your family.
Yeah, agree. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. So I'm gonna take this. This is the first half hour of our program. I'm gonna take a little 1 minute, only 1 minute, just to play the melodious song, from our Pacific Islanders. Let's play the torso here from Wailase Serevi from Fiji Islands, from the islands of Fiji. We'll just play 1 minute, out of your time. Thank you so much, Sili Kalepo and Michaela, for your patience. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad that our community leader is also here too. think on the 4th of July, we'll invite, Pacific Islanders. That will be our own musical, program on that time. Well, I'm glad to introduce our Tongan community leader, Sina Aloita Funa. I'm so glad that we still have Brendan, Malie, and also Waisale. They're from Pacific Islanders Community Association. This is the Pikawa, where Joseph Seia is also executive director, but I'm glad that they all came in to represent, the voice of the Pacific Islanders. Now we do have the Tongan community senior leader, Sina Packer. Sina, do you have a question? Any question that you think it may be applied to the senior or the community, the Tongan community? Please go ahead, Sina. Sina, can you please unmute your phone or your laptop? We can't hear you. Sina? We can't. Sorry, Sina. Please unmute your phone. We can't hear you. It's still muted.
Okay.
Yes, good to go.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Sina Packer, and I'm one of the volunteers who took part in.
Sina,
Okay.
please, yeah, we can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Good to
good.
go.
All right. My question is, okay. Thank you. So, working with helping elderly or volunteer seniors, they are the most vulnerable to open up.
Where's the missing? Sorry, Sina, you're cutting off again.
Sorry for this technology problem. What do you suggest to help us volunteer with senior programs?
I think her question, Sina, do you want to repeat that? Sina, do you want to repeat that question one more time, please? Sorry, Sina, you're cutting off.
I don't think she can hear us.
Sina? For some reason, you're on and off. Sina?
Okay. Okay, Fatima, my question is, some of our seniors have first and second doses vaccinated. I can just
Do you want to just, can you repeat the question, Sina, please? Okay, while we're waiting, Sina? Hello, Sina, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Dima, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear the rest of the question if you could repeat it one more time. Katak Sina to ay may peki motu peho laine.
Yeah.
O tu wange maho feo. Te lava peo fraho iyo. Sina? Katak tuk maho feo iyo. Mafano lele ya peka koe.
Okay. My question is how safe it is to open up a senior program if only half of our seniors get vaccinated, they completed their first and second dose.
Okay, did you get that, Michaela and Sili?
Yeah, I can try answering that question.
Thank you.
Asking about how safe it is to open up and begin a senior program if only half of the seniors are fully vaccinated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. There are a lot of factors that go into whether a program or a gathering is safe for folks to be a part of. But in general, our COVID-19 precautions are in place with the assumption that people are positive and will be infectious. And so when we follow all of the recommendations, like everyone wearing well-fitting masks, ensuring that there's good ventilation in the building or we're outside, making sure we're 6 feet apart from one another, no one's coming if they're feeling sick, all of these types of things are in place so that if and when someone is positive and infectious, it won't spread to other people. So that means if you're following all of those things, you can call the public health department if you have more questions and want to talk through the specifics. But with those things in place, just like we've been doing for the past year and a half, even if no one was vaccinated, we would have some levels of protection with each other. If you were wanting to do something that involved taking masks off or not social distancing from one another, that's when we would have more concern of transmission when folks are not fully vaccinated.
Okay, I have another question here that I saw some people texting me, but it's almost like a similar question that I got, you know. What is the most important things that the people can do right now? What is the most important things that the people can do right now when they started, you know, to like free of masks from wearing, and then like they have the vaccine? What is something that you can advise our people in the community to do right now? Thank you.
Well, I would say number one, as we've talked about, either getting vaccinated or getting the information you need to make a really informed decision about vaccination. As we've talked about, vaccination is very effective. It protects us at a very high level against COVID-19 and protects us from a lot of the poor outcomes like hospitalization or severe illness. And so that I would say is right now one of the top most important things. If you're not vaccinated or you're not sure, the most important thing is just to reach out and get information so that you can make a really informed decision. The other important things are to keep doing what we've been doing as far as wearing masks in indoor settings when we're around other people, social distancing when we're in indoor settings around other people. And if we are attending gatherings, whether that's going to church or going to other gatherings, that we're doing those things with masks and social distancing, and also making sure there's really good airflow in the facility. Because the virus is very, very small, it can kind of hang in the air and just hang out for a while. When we have wind, when we're outside, or if we have good ventilation in the building, it makes the risk of that virus just going between us much lower. And so if you do attend church, keep wearing your mask, keep distancing from one another, and maybe talk about getting your air filtration systems checked out, because that makes a really big difference. Sili, what would you add to that?
No, yeah, I would say ditto to that. And I came from the BIPOC community vaccination team at 4, and you know, considering the historical trauma of folks being hesitant to get vaccine, that is very valid. But there are a lot of vaccine appointments available. I mean, that's one of the things I would add to kind of what Michaela said about, you know, making an informed decision relative to you, your family, and your community. But yeah, if you're looking for a vaccine, maybe Christina can drop it in the chat with our Federal Way site, no, Auburn site and Kent site. Yeah, so there's still a lot of appointments available. Um, yeah, so again, making that informed decision for yourself, your family, and your community could be another big step as well.
Wonderful. Um, Brendan, I would like to see you have another question. Malia, you're all in there in Waisale. They're all from the Pikawa of Washington. Pikawa is the Pacific Islanders Community Association. Brendan, if you have any other question, feel free to come in. And also Malia, I know you said that you have some other question about the rental assistance. Wailase? Go ahead. Waisale? Ulavinaka, yeah. What's your next question?
The next question for me is the lockdown and COVID-19 has been very difficult for the Pacific Island community because we are cultural people. We are normally our lifestyle is like living together, staying together. We go function, we do stuff together, and that is what I see in our community. A lot of the things required clash with our culture. A lot of the things that is needed for us to do it clashes with our culture. The question I want to ask is, what would you say, and what encouragement would you give?
Sili, do you want to take this one first?
Coach Revy, the question is, what would we say and what would we give and for the encouragement of our kind of the Pacific Islander people coming together and gathering? Was that the question, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to be repetitive, but it's really just, you know, being safe and just being aware of your surroundings. I mean, if you're vaccinated, yeah, you might not wear a mask, but it might protect some of the family members who aren't vaccinated. And if they aren't vaccinated, you know, maybe, you know, pushing them to some of our county websites relative to getting vaccinated, or Department of Health or CDC. So it's, again, really staying vigilant to some of the guidance and knowing, as Michaela said, that it can still spread. But we do know that the vaccine is effective. However, like I mentioned, there's historical trauma and mistrust for government, and that is acceptable. It's just we really know that the masks have been super helpful in stopping the spread. Because if you even think about the flu season, hasn't been very many cases of the flu, but a part of that, you know, number one, you know, we've been social distanced and locked in our houses, but then number two, it's just that spread isn't happening. So, I mean, kind of that's what I would say is really just staying vigilant, staying aware, and just educating yourself. And again, making an informed decision for yourself, your family, and your community.
Thank you.
Michaela, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, because as I mentioned earlier, only 0.05% of fully vaccinated people in Washington have gotten sick again. And then among those people, it's so rare, if ever, for those people who get reinfected to pass COVID-19 to someone else. So not only are you less sick if you do get sick after vaccination, but you also are less infectious, maybe not infectious at all. And so, for that reason, one of the things that I've really loved about being vaccinated is being able to gather with my family and friends who are also vaccinated and know that I'm not putting them at risk at all, that it's very, very safe for us to gather together in the ways that we used to. I would also add, like what Sili has said, there are a lot of very valid reasons to be concerned about the vaccine and to not trust everything that the government is saying or trust everything about the vaccine and everything that's coming out. But I don't think that it needs to always be a choice between, I don't think it should ever be a choice. Like, do I choose to value my culture and my family and the things that are important to me, or do I choose to be safe as far as COVID-19 goes?
Yep.
I don't think that's a fair choice for anyone to have to make. You shouldn't have to choose between protecting yourself from illness and maintaining values and being connected to your community. And so that's where I think we can provide a lot of support in being really creative in how to make church most safe and how to make seeing family most safe. And even if folks are not wanting to get vaccinated, using things like our masks and social distancing and our ventilation and our meeting outside and all of those to make sure that you can maintain those practices that are most important, but in ways that won't put each other at risk.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michaela, for your explanation.
Thank you so much. Yes, those are great relevant information, and I'm so thankful for that too. Sina, do you have another question, in regarding to the senior? And Sina is also the community leader for our Tongan community here in Seattle, Washington. Every Wednesday, they pack the food. They have other volunteers and pass out the boxes, for people just to drive through. And she's done a lot, with also the volunteers. And before the lockdown, they always have an activities every Wednesday for the senior, and everybody were welcome to participate. Okay, time for but otherwise, I'll have Sina ask the next question. Sina ko ha to fehui pe tatau pe ko ha pe fehui. Okay, ilo e mahu inga ke kau tau leka malo. Koe ke ongo mai. Sina, kataku koe ke mau lava whanongo atu. We can hear you, Sina. Koe ke ongo mai ya.
I don't think it's reaching her.
Sina? Kataki koe ke ongo mai ho lea. We can't hear you. Ka pau o ko palpalema pa ke lava pe o tohi pe i he la pe ke mau whanonga, because we can either see your question coming on or we can hear your voice. We can hear you, Sina. Still not, there's no sound.
We should move on so that they can.
Yeah. Okay. I have another person from the community. She's texting her question. I think it was last week or the week before. We have a program. It was called the Rental Eviction Protection, which is kind of rental assistance. Sili or Michaela, do you know if the program is still on, for the people to apply, and if you could kind of detail that the people were getting the late information and they still not clear what exactly that will also help them? I'm sorry, it's not the health question. It's just more like a rental assistant, or if you have any, um, you know, question that relevant, that to explain to them.
Yeah, I can take this one. So we lead a community navigator meeting representing about 30 BIPOC communities, bringing up questions and concerns. But rental assistance was a high level concern since I actually joined the team back in December. So we know that the eviction moratorium ends June 30th, and that the current landlord rental prevention assistance program or request program ended that portion, but the new tenant portion is actually open. It launched on May 17th. So we had their project managers, Kim Dodd and Latrice Hughes, speaking to our navigators about it. So currently, right now, they are working with, it's called a hub and the spoke. So they have a 501c3 fiscal nonprofit sponsor who represents the county and represents the tenants who need this. So you can jump onto our website. Let me just look it up real quick, drop it in the chat. Um, but the one thing they have not done is they have not made who these nonprofits are public, because then there will be a line of people outside of their uh, offices wanting to get this rental assistance. So currently in its structure right now, I know that they will pay up to 6 to 9 months of back rent, and then they will pay it forward 3 months of rent. Um, However, you can just log on to the website and then apply to be a tenant. And then one of the hubs who county has contracted with will contact you and kind of let you know where the process is. So there's a pretty rigorous like screening process. For example, they want to know who lives in your house, who is an income earner. My personal advice is just put the folks who live in the house that are on your lease. Because if you have a lot of like adults living in your house and you say all these adults live in your house, then they're going to want to know the income of every adult in the house. And then that right off the bat might make you unqualified. So really, it's really trying to figure out who is on the lease and can apply for that. And we know that if folks are just staying with you because of COVID, that's kind of temporary. And, that's that information that just they don't need to know. Yeah, but it's going to be a lottery process again, like it was last or the first round when they launched this back in the fall of 2020. But it seems like a more equitable process, and I feel like they have more funds and more project managers to kind of push some of the funding through. And then they did that through again this hub and spoke model where they partnered with some of these nonprofits to distribute the funds. So hopefully that helped.
Much that is quite a big help, and everybody that are listening and tuning in about the eviction protection program, we put it up there. It's called rent-help.kingcounty.gov gov. So you can go in there and you can fill out the application, but otherwise you get all the information that is needed. And this is like for people that need rental assistance during this pandemic. Either it's a house or an apartment. Is that correct, Silly?
Yeah, that is correct. And it has to be rent, so it can't be a mortgage.
Right,
Because
right.
we did ask about that. And the nice thing about the website that Christina threw on there is that there's a lot of FAQs, so there's a lot of folks asking the same questions, and they did a good job of breaking their program design down. So they have some of those frequently asked questions in the website as well.
Celia, I
Okay.
have a question. Um, so with the moratorium ending at the end of June, so maybe I need to look at the website as well. So how do we respond with the people that they're now going to get eviction notice? Do we just refer them to the hub in regards to that, or I mean, how to, because we just want to maybe see how do we tell them to respond to that, because we're having quite a few people who are concerned about that ending in June and wanting to know how do they go about um, resolving that issue if it shows up on their front door.
Yeah, that's a fair question. As far as like the actual eviction process of someone doing it before the 30th, I would have to talk with Christina about that in our comms team relative to how to respond to that. But relative to like getting access to the funds, again, it's more or less just signing up on the website. There are just a lot of folks who are asking for this funding, and yeah, the requests are just. The program team is doing their best to process as much as the requests as they can. And again, like I said, it's a lottery system, so they have to do it in a fair and equitable way. So, in talking to their project monitors last, they're trying to do a few rounds first, but there's just a lot of applications that they're processing. So, I know that's not a very straightforward answer. But what I can do is really try to figure out, your first one of how do we prevent the folks from moving them out before June 30th. I'll kind of ask our leadership team for strategies behind that and kind of like legally what can they do. But as far as accessing the fund, it's kind of the ball is kind of in their court, and they're really working through the hub and spoke programs who are facilitating the funds. And I know they're doing their best to try to get out as much cash as they can prior to that June 30th moratorium ending.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Malia, Sina, do you have another question? I know you're still there. Um, Brendan?
Hi. I just want to go back to the first question that Malia had asked. Thank you for the question, Malia. I was thinking about it pertained to like the religious communities. In your folks' line of work, have you encountered? Are you folks like in collaboration with other churches or other faith leaders, faith communities, who are kind of like actively kind of promoting vaccinations and I guess like doing the counter work to those like conservative evangelical churches that are kind of like giving out those like conspiracy theories and advocating, for their congregations that they get like vaccinated. Sorry, that's like a really jumbled question. I guess like are you folks working with other community organizers, other faith leaders to like, I guess, I don't know, just to like, I don't know what I'm asking. I'm so sorry. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense to kind of combat kind of what the other side is saying.
Yes. Thank you, Sili.
So a part of the community based task force is we actually have a faith-based task force that has pastors, imams, rabbis, leaders that we meet every Wednesday at 1 p.m. If you actually throw your email in the chat, I can send you the invite because it's really to any faith leader. But within that group, what we do there is we share the most recent faith gathering guidelines because a lot of the churches, the synagogues, and the mosques, they want to get back together. Currently, right now, I believe our comms person said that vaccinated folks at the end of June, 100% of them can show up, but then unvaccinated folks, it's like 50%. So we had actually a discussion today of how will we know? And again, it goes back to that grocery store thing. How are you going to police this? But it's based on your church, based on your synagogue, based on your mosque. I mean, we're not going to tell you. We're just going to give you that initial guidance. Yeah, so in that biweekly Wednesday call, they do talk about whether they're going to have a vaccination community event, and then they invite the different faith leaders who are there. They talk about any community distribution events, whether that's food distribution, PPE distribution, or clothing distribution. So yeah, there's a pretty tight knit faith-based group within King County that kind of meets and is really encouraging their folks to get vaccinated, because yeah, the faith community really loves gathering and meeting, and they've been very responsive, and they've been super helpful for us giving questions back kind of to our comms team, and kind of to our communicable disease group as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sili. Thank you, folks, for this time. I'm going to have to hop off because I have a prior commitment, but thank you so much for hosting the space and for just offering your wisdom and your advice. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Brendan. Yeah, Brendan is also like from the Picowa of Washington. Yeah, I just also like seeing people. I keep asking them to please text a question or making a phone call, but it just texts me on my phone here, and I'm just asking to like to trying to relate their message, saying that I think it's a couple. They have like a 12. They have 10, 12, and 13 and 16. They have 4 kids. So with the 12 years old, and they have to sign a document, or they can just bring their kids, because it's allowed right now for the 12 years and older and above to use the vaccination. But they have to sign the declaration notice form, or they can just show up with all the kids. If you could just please, I know you already talked about it, but I think they're listening right now.
Yeah, so for vaccinations for youth, it's treated like any other vaccination. So for most youth, you would need authorized adult consent. If the youth is emancipated or married to an adult, then they might be considered a mature minor and would not need authorized consent. But in general, they would need their parents to consent if they're under 18.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the last reminder, where can people go for information and services and what is available? And I know you already talked about it, but that will be our last question for the day, because I know your time is limited.
You want to take this one, Sili?
Well, I was looking back at the chat. I know Christina dropped it in there, but I'm trying to find it. But you can take it if you know it off the top of your head. Is it Find Your Vaccine or Your Vaccine, Your COVID Vaccine?
Oh, yeah. So there are a couple different sites. If you're looking for vaccination, we can drop this in the chat. The public health vaccine website, you can find vaccine providers. Christina just put it there. Thank you. Some primary care providers are giving vaccines, so you can contact your primary care provider. There are also lots of free vaccine sites that you can find online. Another great recommendation is to call the King County COVID-19 call center. This is staffed with nurses, and they're just on call every day from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. And there are interpretation services available if you'd like to call and speak in a language that's not English. There are lots of different languages available, and they're open all day, and they can just answer questions. And if something is more complicated, maybe you need help with an outbreak or an issue at your workplace, they know who to pass you off to. So anytime you're not sure who to call the call center.
Yeah, and then the last thing to add with that, the vaccine is free. So I've had a few community navigators or community members were charged for the vaccine.
Oh.
What I will say is, if you have insurance, they just kind of want your insurance so that they can bill your insurance, but you shouldn't be billed anything. So, but we were able to, provide mitigating strategies to get those folks their money back. So if you find that you have been charged, we kind of let someone from county know, or someone in your health system know, because it should be free.
Absolutely. I'm glad. Thank you so much, Silly, for mentioning that. Because I know I never heard anybody in our community that will be mentioned something that they have to pay for it. As far as I know, that everybody get vaccinated for free. Thank you so much. If you have anything to just to share, please feel free. Before we finish up. But we come to the conclusion of our dialogue today, and we always greatly appreciate all the work that you guys have done to make a difference in the people's lives, especially with our Pacific Islanders community. Today we have a lot, that we have the Fijian, the Tongan, the Tokelau, and also the Micronesia. And thank you so much, for taking the time, and thank you, Christina, for um, bringing them, all the time to share great and relevant information. And for those of you like Sina and Malia, and uh, and I know that why Saleh, just continue on to to get the word, and please share it with your Pacific Islanders community. That
Thank you.
that's what it's all about. We're doing this to serve others during this difficult time. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you,
Thank you.
Michaela. And I'm just playing this last song here just to say Fasa Sang or Fasa More, just to say bye bye.
Hey, real
Michaela
quick,
and Sili
hey,
Kalepo.
Malia, can you drop your email into the chat, and then I'll follow up with you about the EPRAP thing, just so we
Yes.
can we can get those questions answered.
Oh,
But
thank you
but
so
I'll hit
much.
you up because I have direct access to the project managers who run that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Saila. But thank you, Michaela. Thank you,
Thank you.
Silly.
You're
Hi,
welcome.
Malia.
So next time,
Bye.
Mapatu.
Thank
Let me.
you.
Michaela and Silly, you're gonna get the whole King County staff, to speak all our languages, eh?
Michaela.
Malelele, Michaela, Alua in Tonga, in Samoa, Tofasefua, and in Fiji, I'll
Mode.
just say
Mode.
Mole, but just say
Mode.
Nissan Pula.
Itapula. Yeah. It's okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And I
Thank
have
you.
never to
Bye.
assist with the Pacific Islanders Health Board. This is our radio tech today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tofasoi Fua, Malo Lava, Papitai Lava, Malo Opito Ofatu. Thank you for coming in, and we look forward to to have another melodious program like that, like next week, every Wednesday at 6 o'clock with our Pacific Islanders community. Please share the information. Now you have a choice. If you're already vaccinated, you have a choice to just walk into the public place right now. Either you still wanted to wear the mask, or if you choose not to. Koia kuya bangai information ko ino tuku atu hange ko ki motol ko ia o ku te tau ki lere whakatonga lewe taimin. Ki motol ko ia o mo rent, pa koe ki lava totong heo mo rent. Ko ina mo alo ke peke la ko na os tuku atu ko rent-help.kingcounty.gov. Pea o ku lava veu na pehe o lava peke te whoki ki mui whai mahina hiwa ka pane te kai ki totongi. Pea o ku tapu I whakalao ke turi koe mei hono foanga. Koe ngata pe I he mortgage o kai ke kawia. Hange koe ni ka pau kia hao api. Pea koe kai le ke kawia. Ka pau ke rent I ha whale pe ke renta apartmeni. O ku lava pe ke nau toni I koe whafonho ki whomu. Koe ai wā hoi ko tui pe e au pe o au pe ki ai hao ke King County. Koe na ko nau os tuku I atu pe. Rent-help.kingcounty.gov. Thank you, Neta, for putting out, this information. That is really great. Koe ngai pehuia nai pai kia whakapotala noa koe I ahoni. Koe hange koe ko I lo ipe koe hana I mea koe te tangoko atu. Ko osi whalea whake ko wana, koe whakafuafua ke ato noa kosune, ko to o katoa ai ngai whataptapui. Pea koia amanak pe ke tahokat ki ai, pea tau tui pe e ke tu la hoko ai te. Koia pe koe whai pe whainga, ke ofa pe ke tu lelei pe ngai mea kotoka nau pe holo au pito he taimini ai whika koia o ngahi whika koia ngawe aki. Pea koia taimini, te ta e pene tau ki whai whasi heni, pea tau alu lewa ki he Fiji market, o nau whaafe mai o kei nau fruit cake ke he. Whakalata tu e fo pea toi amio, pea o kei moe nau fuuta me ina, tok tau mai mei fisi, pula me naka ki ai, pea pehe whaki ki nau uta ika. Koia, mo mea ke pe ki he Fiji market, koia o kuawa ia awe fitu hoia wike, I he military road. Koe ni e tuku atu ia. Koe whaafe e atai peki mōtolo pia mei he First Tongan Senior Community Association ko ia aine o ku taki ai whaiwhika masia ka kalawhalau pia pe whoki ki a sina aloi tawhuna peka. Ia kurelu o ta pe o whakahoko I nau tuwha I e Taimi tātaha pongpong. Ko hao pe nau hangatona mai pe whakauta mea kai moho pe whoki ngai puha mea kai pia mai ngai supplies. Ko ia oan ake toa I kurelu ko ta pe I Taimi tātaha. Pia pe he whoki ki he Fitz Friendly Islands of Tonga. Ai au taki ai a whaiwhika makawao ko ia whaiwhika malolo ia. Sas metodist ko ia CD. I whalaite ko toa pe o ka hoko atu ai tō wha ia siasi ko I CD. Peko whetu taki anga tona pe ko kia maka. Whaiwhika makawao, whaiwhika malolo ia. Tene lava pe o tō whaki ato metoni. Ko ni e o atu lewa e taimini ai tuaki ko ia ai Fiji market but close lewa ai ke liko shio kia haloti puloka.
Surround welcome to Bombay Fiji Bazaar. We are here to help. Largest collection of Indonesian and Polynesian and Micronesian community. So you're welcome in anytime. We are open 7 days a week from 10 o'clock till 7 o'clock, and Sunday is 10 to 4. So all of you guys are welcome. Indian, Pakistanis, Polynesian, Micronesian. We have all the community stuff right under one roof. Thank you.
Cut Becky Fast Becky. Pamanata dai be ho eke ba mai kai ngatonga. Ho eke ba mai kai ngatonga ko e whamanata dai be ki motolo ko yak whea mao ha Taimi ke ne toni ki moto ke toa te mawhasia mo e ongosia mo e puputu o whakaukau ia hoko maha ngai whengataa. Ko iai whitu taki ake be koi ke kautaha ko e likosio. Hou ai wawha ia whainga Taimi pe. Pea e lava leke nau toko ni i koe. Hange koe ni ka pau ki ahatu kwa ki i kia koe. Pe ku iai haturi koe i he ngāwe. Pe o ku mau koe he kau polisi e hala pure anga lolo tong hau whakauri. Koe ha pea whaahinga mea o ku whekau aki. Pea mohano tuku aki i koe. Pea o atu hangahi mea ka te koe. Pea koe ngoi puputu o hau whakaukau. Whituku taki ake pe koe i he ahoni ki he kautaha koe ia. Kautaha loea koe ia. O ku nau matike tika. Pea i kai ke toe o ngoi ke whaingata ia ku hangei pen hao malu i ki tola pe wa nima he maina kai o atu ahono whakaiki ki ke ilo ahono lelei ke ngawe akia i he ahoni moi ka hao. Whitu taka ke peko ke Michael Haloti Puloka ke telefoni ko i wanoa ono nima noa wha hiwa fitu ni mataa. Wanoa ono nima noa wha hiwa fitu ni mataa. whamanatua tai peki a pongi pongi o ko e polokalama ia ko e whaasawsanga ko e Samoa pa mo alatalo pe me he Asian Pacific Cultural Center. Pea ko ia whaki o ko hange ko ki mo tolu ko ia o ko whema o ki mo ngawe aki ko e alu ko e le lue hange ko ngai pasi o ki aipe na ngai kāti ke o atu ka koe toko ni atu ki ho o alu ko ia te alu aki o ka pau o kui kai ke whakauri. Pea aku whawhainga maari e whako ngā ko whepea whetu te ke alu ki ai ke o te ke toi hela i he alu kumpa kingi. He kata e totongi, hifota e totongi, pea o ku lava pe ke mau ia, pea me sound transit. Pe ko ia iha whahinga taim pe ko whetu take atu pe kia ki nau tolu. To e whamanato tai pe ko e monite ko toa pe, o vai whuke polkalama ko ia ai vai ni hu whalu pe, whakahauka te monite, e taim whitu e piawhi. Tu site ko toa pe ko e helping hands ia pia mo la tu hua kau, pe i he pule rulu, ko e whuke tau polkalama ma ke he ni ke pule rulu ko ia o wike ka hau, o tau kau whatahai pia mo e mental health support, mo ngai polkalama ke hange ko ngai talanoa ko i ke mo ui lelei. O ku lava ke tau kau whatahai i polkalama ko ia o wike ka hau, pea ko ia ko wike ka hau ia te tau kau whatahai pia mo toki tā malu i fo o, pia pe whuke kau toki tā, o nau o mai ai ngai whakahino hino, ki ha mea ke lava o tokoni kia te koe, hang tau te whito ke mao mea tokoni. O nau pehe whoki, koe mao mea tokoni, o hoko peia ko ho whaito, koe whaito o peia ki o sino, ka pau te ke mao e mea tokoni mo i lelei, te ke mo i lelei. Pea ka pau te ke mao e ngahi mea tokoni ko ia o ku lahia ngā ko, si tā si, moe ha fua masi ma, pea ke pehe rewa e koe oksai pe hange koe protein o mak kātou me kakano i manu. Pua ka, pulu, ha pe ngai mea koe ia, ke whai moa, koe pe ngai protein lelei pa koe ngai protein o hoko ia koe tā mate ko tau sino. Pea mo kātaki pe koe whamanatu pe te ke ongo i pe ai lelei koe te ke mau, o ka pau te ke mau pe mea toko ni whiunga o ku wuta ki ho sino. Pea ko ia pe ia e mo uia i ho sino i e whanonga whaka aho. Ko ia koe wike ka hau, mo wahe atu ko prelulu ko ta pe ka ngai polo kalama whaka ofu ke toko ni kia koe ki hao rental assistant, pea o kai ke ngatai mo ngai mental health support ko toko ni pe ke anga e tau whanonga, pea mo toka ngai e tau kau tau reka. Pea ko ia o whamanatu atai pe. Pea ki kai whake ngatai, toi whamanatu atu pe koe arewa ha mea o ke loto ke whanongonongo pe ko ha popoa ki whamamahi pe ko ha apsia o lava pe ke mau tuku atu ia i he polo kalama ko ia ai le o Pacific South te pe ko Voice of South Pacific ai o iloa ko Pacific Islanders health broadcast. Koe ne uptoi kore mai heni pe a mei he taki ko ia o e Pacific ai a koe Pikawa. Next Monday, please, they have a drive through this coming up Monday. It's in Federal Way, the Pikawa. They have a vaccine, you know, it's allowed from 12 years old and above to participate. Ka pau ke whengawe aki ai huhu koe ni, e aha moni te, i e Pikawa i hala hiva, ai a koe hiva south. I e turiki tonpe o hiva mo tahatolo ono o tuwa i e Pikawa. Tahatolo ono street, pea mo 9th Avenue o tuwa i a Pikawa koe ni i Federal Way. O whahoko ai e nau huhu i he moni te koe ni kahoko, ai a koe aho fitu ia o sune. Au fitu, pea kamata pe me taimi hiva pongpongi ke taimi tolu e fiafi. Tō lava pe whake mo ngā alu ki he Open Outlet Collection ko ia i loko Open Mall i Apeni o ngā we aki o kai nā huhu i he mei aho kotoa pe. Pea pehe whako ki mō tolu ko nofu ko i Kent, Takwila, pe ko whepeha ngahi wheitu o ke lava mei ai, ko showea ko ia i Kent, o whakalere pia moe nau huhu mo nau tolu. Ai koe ngai whetu ene ko lava ke toko atu e King County, pia ko ki mō tolu ko whe maa toko ni ko ia ki o mō ngahi rent, o lava pe ke mo alu ke rent-help.kingcounty.gov. Ke mo ngawe ake ngai whainga maari ko ni ko Taimi pe en. Pe au tatawa pe pe kuia hao pepa pe ikai e whonuani, lava pe ke mau ngai whainga maari ko ni ko Taimi pe en. Ko e te ta e tene ki whaifas ko ni pe a osko iau toi pe ngai minitsi me hen ku tau wha oslema. Malo. Toi whamanata toi pe whoki i he taimini ko whakaata pe whoki ke alu o kai ke toi tui e mas o ka pau na ke osi huhu. Pea o ku lava lelei pe ia ka pau na ke osi huhu tu o ua i e taimi kona i whakahau kai huhu lava pe ke alu ke whare koloa me a pe whaiteriha pe a au tau ataina pe koe pe te ke tui e mas ke i whakaata pe ia pe ka pau kai ke toi loto ke tui ha mas o ko ke sai pe moia. Ka paureo ko ia o ku whaatārewa ki ngawe aki. Ko e aha tōnoa ko sune o te tewa e ko vana ko ia o Washington State i Washingtoni, ke ne tuku atu e Governor Jay Inslee hangai whanongonongo o whikau aki pe ko e hae tūtūni ko ia e hoko atu o pehe pe whoki e to o lewa ai ngai whakatapui. Ko ia whia tako tape mo tau look forward ki ai ko i ngai whenga maria ko e ni ke tau atai nā ko whola tau e tau whepuringa ki pea tāpuni mo i ngai whetu ko tau pe whapure anga o au ke ngai apsiasi ka koin lewa ko lava re whangofua ke whoki ke lotu pea ko lava ke tau alu ke ngai whetu whapure anga o i kai ke toi tui homeas pea koe me a tau atai na pe a koe te o atlewa tau ki whasko ni pea tau wha osia pe Ko tawa o mai ni he whaasinga ko ia polo kalama. Thank you everyone for joining us. Please keep on sharing the information that you saw today from our webpage and also on Facebook and YouTube Live to help everyone, especially those folks that are living here in King County so that they could get all the like the rental assistance, eviction protection, so that they could be able to apply to that and use it during this difficult time. And also continue to stay safe, everyone, and keep up with being safety and share the information so you can be able to help everyone. Just a final reminder, Pikawa is going to have a vaccine drive-through on Monday, starting from 9:30 a.m. till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that is June 7. It's in Federal Way, right on the corner of 136th Street and 9th Avenue South. Thank you, Christina Brederick. Thank you, Sili, and also Michaela. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. From Pacific Islands Broadcast, I'm Sylvia Taimi Aho and also Netatua Tapelava. Thank you.